Hey, what the weather is like right there, right now, Stephanie? That's what I
It
want to
is
know.
it is very hot because
I
I'm in
see.
Mexico and it is very hot. And the last time that I was on your show,
Uh,
our electricity went out in the whole the whole city.
okay.
So just imagine not having. I hear you talk about not having air conditioning, and that's what happened. It was horrible.
Oh Lord, Stephanie, what part of Mexico do you live in?
Playa del Carmen.
Oh, that's super nice over there. Actually, me
Mhm.
and my family went to Los Cabos for spring break.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, how long have you been living in Mexico?
Next month it's going to be a year.
Oh, damn. You ain't planning on coming back to the States?
Well, I haven't technically lived in the States since 2017.
Okay,
The last place I lived in was Hawaii,
okay,
and me and my family, we lived there for about 7 years.
okay, okay. So you well traveled. You like this ain't that new to me.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
love the
Hey,
tropics, so that's why I do not like being cold. But since living here, I
uh,
realized I don't like being hot.
yeah, hey,
I don't
hey,
like
I'll tell you like this, Stephanie. That humidity hot is a different type of hot. You know
a
what I
different
mean?
type of
It's a
hot.
different type of hot right there. The humidity hot is unreal. I tell people that all the time. Houston heat is different. You know what I'm saying? It's different. You see the devil out here. It's different, man. But no, let's go ahead and get started then. I'm gonna, you know what, Stephanie? Actually, I'm gonna do this. I actually found your video
Okay.
that made me want to reach out to you. So what I want to do is I want to show everybody the video first. Hold on, right quick. Let me see. You know I ain't that technical gifted, so let me
Me
make sure
neither.
I can make it do what it do right quick, Stephanie. Let's see. Oh, so now I can't do it. Never mind. I was gonna try to do the dual camera, but for some odd reason it won't let me do it right now. So that's fine. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with it. But anyways, let me go ahead and get started. I'm gonna introduce you. We got Stephanie Lopez, who is a content creator focused on self-mastery, conscious parenting, and family dynamics. After going no contact with her family in 2017, she now shares insights on healing, accountability, and rebuilding relationships from both the child and the parent's perspective. So, first thing first, thank you for coming to the show. We appreciate it. We appreciate it. Thank you so much. And thank you for coming back. I appreciate that.
Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. So, my first question, I know we talked about it a little bit in the past on the last part, but could you just kind of tell the crowd, the people on the live right now, you know, Stephanie's a little brief on your story, on your background, and how all this started?
Okay. Well, it started for me when I was 3 years old. My mother gave me up for adoption. But when she had me, my father abandoned us when I was born.
Hmm.
And so my mom ended up going back home to her parents and was trying to like start a new life there. But then around when I was 3 years old, my mom had another baby, and that marriage didn't work. So she wanted to go back to Connecticut, but she decided she didn't want to take me because she didn't think that she could handle raising two kids. So my grandparents adopted me. So I've always looked at my mom as like a the aunt, a distant aunt.
Hmm.
But over the years, things changed between me and my mom, and I started like hating her and resenting her for not taking me.
Hmm.
And so then my father, he came back into my life when I was 15 years old.
Okay.
And yeah, so yeah, so my parents weren't necessarily like in my life like the typical parents. I was raised by my grandparents, and they did a wonderful job raising me. But at the end of the day, they're not my parents,
Correct. Correct.
and it did affect me the choices that my mother and father did make.
Okay. Stephanie, did you have a strong hatred for your parents?
I had a strong hatred for my mother,
For your
not
mother?
necessarily my dad,
Okay.
because when my dad came back into my life,
Hmm.
he was so humble and he was just so thankful that I'm even talking to him.
Mm.
And I appreciated that about him. And he was like, I can't believe you don't hate me. I can't believe that, you are even talking to me. I was like, well, I had a good childhood. I said, so I don't have a reason to hate you. I was like, if my childhood was messed up, I was like, yeah, I would blame you because you left me to a horrible childhood. I said, but my grandfather, he raised me well and loved me. I don't have a reason to hate you.
So it was kind of one of those things, Stephanie, where your village, they stepped in and raised you and helped you out so much. You was like, you know what, my dad, I don't have a lot of hatred towards you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. So let me ask you another question. So you've been very open about going no contact with your family in 2017. How did that experience shape the way you now talk about healing, accountability, and rebuilding relationships?
Um, well, that's a big question. Like, how has that? I don't even
Hold on,
know if
Stephanie.
I.
Let me say something
Okay.
right quick. And you do coaching too, right? And so could you talk a little bit about that aspect too, real quick, and then we get back to the question?
Well, yeah, I do different types of coaching.
Uh-huh.
I do like life coaching,
Uh-huh.
and I do astrology and human design,
Hmm.
and also relationship coaching.
Okay.
And parenting and adult child coaching, that's not something that I consistently do,
Uh-huh.
but the more that I'm talking about it and sharing my experience, that
Okay.
is something that people are wanting from me now.
Correct. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. Okay. So like I say on the question though, so how did that experience shape the way that you now talk about healing and accountability and rebuilding
Well,
relationships?
I just, this is something that I don't think I've really sat down and thought about. I just know that we are held accountable to our lives.
Mm-hmm.
And no, I didn't like the decisions that my mother has made,
Mm-hmm.
but despite that, I still have to live my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I get to decide the person that I want to become.
Correct.
And so when it comes to healing for me, I do think that there's a moment where, yes, you can blame your parents for all the things, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then at some point, I want to grow and I want to be a capable, sovereign human being. And I can't do that if there's somebody in my life that I can't handle and I don't want to be around.
Mm.
And so I decided that I wanted to mend the relationship with my mother
Mm-hmm.
because that relationship really mirrored a lot of my intimate relationships that I had.
Oh, going
Yeah.
deep now. Okay. Wow. Okay. So, and because, for me, Stephanie, I get a lot of DMs from, estranged children, estranged adult children that'll say stuff like, well, I blame my parents for being in the situation that I am in now with my current life. And I ask them, I'm like, well, how old are you? And some of them say, well, I'm 37, 38 years old. I'm like, well, hold on now. I can understand if you had some trauma that you were dealing with. You might need some type of therapy or something of that nature. But my thing is, though, Stephanie, like what you said, sooner or later, you got to get to that point, right? To where you say, hey, I got to be accountable for my own life and my own decisions going forward,
Yeah, I agree.
right?
Yes,
Yeah,
I
okay.
agree.
All right, that's all I'm just trying to figure out because I know a lot of so I love when you said that, but you also said something that made me think. You said your situation and the way that you grew up also had an effect on you as far as once you became a full-fledged adult and some of your relationships that you had. How did it affect you on that aspect?
Because I I had a disdain for my mother and I felt like I wasn't good enough to be loved because she didn't choose me.
Mm.
And then my father, he wasn't there.
Hmm.
So the relationships that I chose and how I showed up in my relationships that I wasn't worthy of love, and I chose men that mirrored that.
Mm.
And I chose men that were emotionally distant. And then when it came to my self-worth, I led with the low self-worth that I had, but then also because I hated my mother. Well, I am my mother. I came from my mama.
Mm.
So I believe that however you feel about your parents is essentially how you feel about yourself.
Whew. That was a bar right there, Stephanie. Come on now. Hey, man. Well, I never thought about it like that. Say that one more time. I need you to say it one more time. I gotta write that down, Stephanie. Like, damn, hold on now.
I don't even know what I said. I be flowing. Like, what
No,
did
you
I say?
just don't. Hey, you was freestyling, Stephanie.
What did I say? I said.
I was like, damn, hold on now. I just saw. Hey, look. I was like, you might see that you might see that on another video this week or something like that, because that was deep what you just said.
I think I said that however you feel about your mother is essentially how you feel about yourself.
Correct.
Yeah.
Wow, that's powerful. Okay, man. Yeah, you might see that this week. Yeah, you know, and that is true, right, Laura? Laura said that is true. I never thought about it like that, Laura. You focus heavily on self-mastery and conscious parenting. Do you believe both parents and adult children have a responsibility to look inward during estrangement instead of only blaming the other side?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So do you think that's what the big misconception is like the parents are blaming the children are blaming the parents, but no one is looking inside and saying, how can I work on myself to make this situation better?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Yeah. That's what I was thinking, the same thing. All right. So from your perspective, what is the difference between protecting your peace with boundaries versus completely shutting down opportunities for healing and reconnecting?
Okay, protecting your peace.
Yeah, because a lot of strange children will say stuff like, "Well, I stopped talking to my parents because I wanted to protect my peace," right? And then they'll just say, "So I just go silence," and they're saying, "I'm protecting my peace because I don't want to deal with them and things that they say or do to me that they hurt me." So the question is, what's the difference between protecting your peace with boundaries versus completely shutting down opportunities for healing? Because to me, if you're not willing to talk about it, how can we start the healing process?
Well, I think, but what you said is it's the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Protecting your peace with boundaries and also shutting down. To me, I don't see those as being any different.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
because if you have to protect your peace, that means you never had it.
So,
And yeah, and your boundaries is not for you to protect your peace. Your boundaries are for you to create a standard with how you want to live your life.
correct. How
So
you
the
want to be
boundaries
treated.
are for the boundaries are for you,
Correct.
not for the other people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Stephanie, let me ask you a question then, because a lot of estranged children and parents, they deal with this, right? How would you tell a parent, what's up, MF? How would you tell a parent, how should they respond or react to when their adult child no longer wants to speak with them, no longer wants to tell them anything, and they're trying to figure out, what did I do to cause this? And they don't know.
Okay. I would tell them to be quiet.
Mm.
Yeah, I would tell them, because is that happening? Is people going no contact and not even telling the parent anything?
All day long. That to me, Steph, that's the biggest issue. You know what I mean? I think if parents and children could come together and just have a conversation and talk, but the new generation, they don't believe in talking. You know what I mean? Yeah, let's expound on that. I agree. Let's expound on that, because I think that's the biggest issue right there. Is
Yeah.
because a lot of times the communication just stops. It goes cold turkey.
Okay. Well, I guess for me, I kind of feel like the clues were there.
Okay.
Because there's a reason why the child wanted to go no contact.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, but Was the parent paying attention to like the conversations, the relationship dynamic? Because the thing, I will give people grace for those that go no contact, but you want to know why? It's because they don't know how to deal with confrontation and conflict. So if your child is going no contact with you and don't want to give you the reasons why, it's because they don't want to deal with the conflict or the confrontation that comes along with that. Well, that don't got anything to do with you. That's them. They don't know how to handle the conflict and confrontation. So that's why they just avoid it altogether and just disappear. We can't expect people to be a certain way if they don't have the skills and tools to know how to be that.
I totally agree with you on that. I think a lot of times, like you say, what I noticed when I was dealing with estrangement was it was just my child didn't want to deal with the confrontation. She didn't want to deal with the communication aspect. And then I had a bad habit of overstepping the boundaries. When she would say something, I would just take it to a whole different level. You know what I mean? And so through therapy, I had to realize that I actually wasn't listening.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? I actually wasn't listening. So I'm always over talking in situations, Stephanie. You get what I'm saying? So for me, I had to learn that. And I think a lot of parents struggle with that. A lot of parents struggle with that. But hold on, I want to read something to you. A Tennessee girl says, I need prayers for my adult daughter. She's 42 and estranged from her daughter. And she was such a good child. And like I say, Stephanie, we got so many parents who are trying to figure out what went wrong and how to rebuild the relationship, if it's possible, with their estranged child. Now, for you, I want to ask you this question. Did you forgive your parents?
Yes.
Both of them?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
now you guys are back into a loving relationship. How is the relationship now, Stephanie?
Well, my father, he has Alzheimer's now. So he had a stroke a few years ago, and
Okay.
now he has Alzheimer's. So, and I actually saw him and his family a couple of weeks ago.
Okay.
And the funny thing is that I got to see my sister. I have a sister by my dad.
Okay.
And the funny thing is my father and my sister has an estranged relationship. He kicked her out the house. And I see it, but I didn't know this because remember, I had disconnected from everyone.
Correct.
But my sister and my father ended up having an estranged relationship. And she was like, she never really got to mend it because eventually he had the stroke and then Alzheimer's and things. But she was like, her and my dad did not have a good relationship.
Do you think she regrets that, Stephanie?
No, I don't think she regrets it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think she's on her own journey of discovering herself now.
Okay.
And with my mom, our relationship is good. It's as good as it can be because my mom is who she is. And so I have just learned that I can love her and accept her for who she is and not what I would want her to be.
So how do you get yourself to that part right there? Like, how do you is that just maturing and starting to understand yourself and also understand your mother? So how do you get to that part? Because a lot of people struggle with that, Stephanie. That's powerful. It is.
My story is really deep. So
Hey, come on. Look. You're on the right show today, baby. We keep it real over here, so come on with it.
And I hope I don't cry because this is something that I discovered last year when I went on an ayahuasca journey. And what I realized was that the hatred that I had for my mother, it wasn't mine. It was the hatred that my grandmother had for my mother. And my grandmother made me responsible for carrying that pain that my grandmother wasn't able to heal. So I realized that I loved my mother and my mother didn't do anything to me. She probably did the best thing that she could was give me away because she just wasn't capable within herself. And so she made that decision and she regrets it every day. But what she doesn't realize is that she didn't protect me because she didn't know that she put me in a space that was going to disconnect me and her and harm our relationship.
Mm.
And I realized that my mother and my grandmother, they have an estranged relationship. It's very toxic between them two.
Hmm.
And as a little girl, I was placed in the middle of having to choose, who do I love more, my grandmother or my mother?
Hmm.
And as a little girl, I didn't know what to do with that, you
Mm.
know? And so obviously, I chose my grandmother because she's taking care of me. She's doing all the things. And I didn't want to betray her. And I didn't realize that my grandmother was manipulating me.
Mm.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so what ayahuasca like really showed me that I no longer have to carry the unhealed parts of my mother and my grandmother. Like it's not my responsibility. It was like I was free.
Mm.
And
That's
the
deep.
yeah, and the issue with my mom and my grandmother is that they resent each other. They resent each other. My grandmother resents my mother
Hmm.
for giving me up, and my mother resents my grandmother for taking me.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow. Oh,
yeah.
wow. I have a question
Hmm.
for you too. Mimi just said, how much time did it take you to realize that?
30 years.
30 years, Mimi.
30 years.
30 years. So what changed, Stephanie, for you? Like, what did something just all of a sudden click? I know you said you went on this journey. Was the journey that just opened up your spiritual and you was just like, I can't keep going on with this? Or what changed for you?
Well, I've been doing the healing work for all these years,
Mm-hmm.
but I just had this disdain for my mother.
Mm-hmm.
And but I think the reason why I felt that way because I was comparing my mother to my grandmother.
Mm-hmm.
And my mother is not my grandmother. My grandmother is such a good mom. Like my grandmother, she was wonderful. But then when I tried to have a relationship with my mother, I was comparing her to my grandmother.
Mm-hmm.
And my mother is not that. But then also my mom, she just didn't know me. She just didn't understand me or know me. So we're trying to have this relationship and I'm comparing her to my grandmother and then my mom doesn't really know who I am and it was just weird.
And so
Um
you felt like you had to go through that process for you to fully heal.
Yeah, I had to go and see. So for me, what the no contact did for me, I wouldn't even say no contact because my mom was around. Like she would not go away, but there was only but so much she could do because I lived in Hawaii and Costa Rica and she lived in Connecticut.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, what the no contact did for me, it took me out of the environment so that I could see the truth.
Mm.
But if I'm around the same people talking the same things, my judgment is cloudy. So I took those 10 years to do the work, to see myself, and then also learn the truth about my mother and my grandmother.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm. Man, and it's Stephen, we had some callers on Mondays live, and a few of the one of the actually the adult children said something that really stood out to me. And she said that she was dealing with something mentally that because we were talking about the reasons that children they go no contact. She was saying she was dealing with something mentally that she couldn't be around her family because she couldn't describe what was going on up here. And
Mhm.
so I think a lot of times, especially us as parents, we don't understand that aspect. You know what I mean? I know you had mentioned something about like sometimes the estranged child has to go off somewhere and find themselves and mature. You know what I mean? And come back and maybe can work on a relationship again.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So hold on right quick. They got some questions for you.
Yeah, I see
Um, I'm
that.
sorry. Hold on, let me see. Hey, put them in the chat, man. So Kirsten said, "What made the change for you?" I think you just kind of went over that.
Okay.
Um, Then Kirsten said, was your grandmother afraid you would not see her as a mother figure if you had a relationship with your mom?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Okay. All right, cool, Lashad. I'll see you. Blue Eye says, even my sister, my kids adore and look up to her, but yet my sister slept with my ex-husband. Oh, damn, we on some Jerry Springer today. Hold on now, damn it. Hold on, y'all. Happy to be here says, does Stephanie have children of her own?
Yes, I have one.
Yes, one child. Okay. And because Stephanie, and I think, and you can put it down in the chat, Blue Eye, do you worry about your relationship with your child as your child gets to that age or gets older?
No, I don't worry about that, but I will say having a child of my own is what gave me compassion for my mother. Even though I had my child when I was 35, my mom had me when she was like 20. So now that I'm a mother, I have more compassion for my mother.
Okay.
Like
That
I'm a
changed.
parent. Yeah.
Okay. Hold on right quick. Read my comment above that one. All right, hold on. Let me read that one. Let me go back to it. Hold on. Even myself, I'm a much better grandma than I was a mother. We grow and learn to become better versions. You agree with that, Stephanie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
my mother said that my grandmother wasn't there for her. My mother was like she didn't get the parenting that she needed from her mother. Well, the funny thing is that it's not funny, but my grandmother actually didn't have her mother in her life because my grandmother's father murdered her. And so my grandmother was raised by her aunt. Well, then my mom is saying that my grandmother wasn't there for her because my grandmother was so busy raising other children. But then later on, my mother wasn't there for me because she gave me up. And so it's like once I had my child, I feel like I broke that cycle
Broke the cycle.
because there was definitely a mother wound in our family dynamic.
So,
And I
Stephanie,
feel like I broke that cycle.
was one of the reasons that your mother gave you up, was it addiction?
No. My mom was a sane woman. She was just, and this is the argument. Everybody has their own interpretation as to why the situation happened. My grandmother would tell me, your mama gave you up because she wanted to give you up, and she gave you up because of a man. But then my mother was saying that she was coerced in giving me up. But then later on in life, my mom said the reason why she took my brother and didn't take me was because back in those days in the 80s, people were molesting children, especially little girls. So she was afraid that I was going to get molested. So that's why she gave me to my grandparents.
So she was basically saying, I'm trying to protect you.
Yeah, that's basically what she said.
Okay. So my next question for you is real quick. I want you to, because a lot of parents on our lives, they struggle with the whole aspect of going no contact. But you've been able to forgive your parents, right? Your mother and your father. What would you tell them? I know you said earlier, like, hey, go quiet. So would you say the key to the game is to, hey, no chasing, just pray about it, and hopefully they'll mature and one day come back home to you? Or what would you tell those parents?
Well, every situation is different, so it just depends on the situation. But when you had said that the child said they're going no contact, or they just go no contact, I don't know, and the parent doesn't know why, the first thing they should do is be quiet. What can you say to that? Like, silence is important. But then they can say, well, are you open to letting me know why? I'm not going to argue with you. I just would like to know why. Because just like what you said, you weren't listening and you was arguing. Yeah. So so they can also let the child know, like, look, I just would like to know if there's anything I can do to help. But if they don't want that, you got to let them go. They're grown. Like, you know what I mean? And I think that also is true. If your adult child doesn't want to sit down and talk to you about the decisions that they make, then let them go. You did your job to the point they don't even need you in their life. Because the worst thing that can happen for a parent is that their child isn't able and their child cannot function in life without them. Correct. Well, your child is saying, I can function without you.
Correct.
And I know it doesn't feel good, but
Yeah.
you did your job as a parent where they could go out into this world and they will be okay with or without you.
Okay. Yeah, because like you say, it doesn't feel good, right? I mean, that's somebody that we raised, that we thought that we would have this beautiful life with, and all of a sudden they go no contact. But like I tell parents all the time, you can't chase. You cannot chase because you keep chasing, you just keep pushing them further and further away. But on LC Chat says, ask the parents why they want a contact relationship. Some parents want access and not accountability. Okay, I can see that. But
Yeah.
LC Chat, I think that goes both ways, right? I think it goes both ways because a lot of parents that I deal with, their relationship with their children is transactional. So as long as they're, giving them money, buying them things, doing these things, then they can have relationships. The moment that stops, their relationship stops. And I tell parents, we can no longer take care of adults. You got to get to a point in time to where you say, hey, my relationship with you is not going to be transactional. You know what I mean, Stephanie?
Yeah.
Hold on right quick. Happy to be here says we need to make the distinction between going no contact and alienation. Okay, yes, you are right about that. Hold on right quick. Antoinette says, but some parents have grandchildren they can't see because of the no contact. How would you tell the grandparents to deal with that, Stephanie?
The same way they dealing with the child that's going no contact.
Ain't nothing you can do about it.
Ain't nothing you can do about it. Yeah.
But Stephanie, grandparents, that part right there, what Antoinette said, is so hard because grandparents, to me, get it the worst. They get a chance to, because what you said earlier, Stephanie, you said, okay, so my grandmother didn't raise my mother, what your mother said, a proper way. So she was like, you know what? I can redo this with my grandbaby. I think some parents look at it on that aspect, but then whenever the child goes no contact, they no longer can even have a relationship with their grandbabies, and it destroys them. It destroys them. And I tell them all the time exactly what you said. I was like, there's nothing you can do about that. You can't control that aspect of the relationship. And Timeless, who's on here, she's on here right now, actually. She always says, if you don't have a relationship with the child, how can you expect to have a relationship with your grandchild? Which is true. You know what I mean? So that's just hard. Hold on real quick. Let me see. Damn, that hurts. No, it does, Antoinette. I hate to say it like that, but it does. Hold on. Let me see here. It does hurt like that. Tomorrow, hey, like Brooklyn say, tomorrow's not promised. Sometimes the answer is as simple as that. Nothing you could do about it. No, 100%. No, I mean, it hurts for us to say that as parents. You're dealing with, especially your grandchildren, right? You expect it to be in their lives, but sometimes there's nothing we can do about it. And a lot of stuff and a lot of parents struggle. I get DMs of parents who want to unalive themselves because of no contact with their children and their grandchildren. And I just try to pump them up and tell them like, hey, we got to keep going on with our lives. You can't control that, right? You cannot control that. But Stephanie, for you, because I know we got some ECs on here tonight, what would you tell them as far as healing and saying to themselves like, hey, I want to reach out to my parents or try to have that relationship again, or even forgiving them? What would you say to them?
What's the question?
I'm saying like for the adult children, right, who have went no contact. What would you tell them? Because some of them have so much hatred in their heart for their parents that they don't think that they can heal and forgive their parents. So what would you say to them? Because you have healed from that. And you have forgiven your mother. And if anybody who could have went no contact and said, I don't want anything to do with you, it was you, Stephanie. You know what I mean? So you forgave. So how can they get that up out their heart to forgive their parents and say, you know what? Especially on something that's minute. Something on, you know what I mean? Something very, very small. What would you tell them?
Well, I don't know if I would tell them anything. I would ask them a question like, one, do you want to do that?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the question. You have to be willing and have a desire to want to mend the relationship with your parent. But if you can't do that, or if you feel you can't do that, then you're not ready to do that. Like no one had to convince me to decide to heal the relationship with my
Mm-hmm.
mother. I just been on a healing journey and I'm about self mastery. And one of the things that I've learned about self mastery is relationships. Well, the biggest relationship that was a rock in my shoe was my mom.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the relationship that I had to do the work in.
So you got to be ready. Bottom line.
Yeah, you gotta be ready. Yeah.
Yeah. And so once again, for the parents, we got to keep moving. You can't sit around and wait. You got to keep moving, pray about it, and keep moving, because you're 100% right. If you're not ready for it, then nothing's gonna change. Like if they don't want to come back into your life, and if they don't want to explain to you some of the things that they think that you did to them, or some of the things that you can work on, there's nothing you can do about that.
Yeah.
All right, hold on. I got some questions down here. Let me see. Was the word growth that you were using more maturity? Hold on. Was the word growth that you were using meant more? I'm thinking she's talking about on your video, Stephanie. She's saying, was the word growth that you were saying on that video, were you using that as more maturity?
I guess.
I'm trying to figure it out. I'm thinking that's what she's saying. Explain that to me some more times if you don't mind. As a matter of fact, you can come up times if you want to.
I'll be lying.
Yeah, come on, because she like me. Which video? I do so many videos. I'm trying to figure it out. Yeah. There's LC says there's a lot that parents can do about it. LC, you want to come up and talk? I want to hear you say there's a lot that parents can do. Let me see if I can invite you up. I just tried to. So see if you want to come up. Brooklyn says, I'm going to see my dad for Father's Day next month, and life is too short. 100%. 100%. I agree with that. LC, how you doing tonight? Yeah, I think she on mute.
I'm well. So I went I'll give a very like brief and then I can kind of go into it a little bit, but coming from a place of like trying to help. So I was adopted as a kid and I met my bio family when I was 40. I'm 43 now. I was no contact with my adopted family, my parents, and we are now doing a lot better and we made up. And then now I'm no contact with my bio family. But I'll say this, I grew up in a very strict military household. I grew up because I put in the comments about it being cultural, and I will say like in BOK households, asking a question is disrespect. So then you wonder why your kids don't want to talk to you. Because if you asked a question, now you're being disrespectful. Like there's all these things. And I hate to say it. When I say that parents can do a lot, I'm not like trying to put it on parents, but kids didn't ask to be here. One, I didn't ask to be abused. I didn't ask to be spoken to the way that you spoke to me. I didn't ask to be always subjected to in the criminal justice system, you're guilty till proven innocent. In my household, I was guilty just for every reason. They did all these things. My father who adopted me has put his hands around my throat 3 times, but didn't get therapy because I'll lose my clearance. Like these are all the excuses that you made for your bad behavior. And you put me in therapy. I'm the only one in my family that's been in consistent therapy, right? So all these things happened. There were comments.
You sound like you're getting straight up abused, though, LC. Like that's abuse. Like,
I mean, but the choking, that was so extreme. But I grew up in a household where spanking was okay too. I personally don't agree with that, And then on top of that,
with LC, I agree with some spanking. Now I'm old school on
that.
But
there you go. But that's my thing too. But this is where I think, as I've gotten older and I've been in therapy forever, when you hear the excuses, and not you, but my dad would say to me, like, well, in the state of Virginia, we're allowed. I'm like, there's a lot of things that are legal in the state of Virginia. Doesn't mean you have to do them, right? They were also highly religious. When I didn't join the church in 8th grade, because you go through that little 8th grade consecration, I was like, well, God didn't call me. Really? Because I'm like, and I even said to him, so you're telling me every spring, all these 8th graders and all the Presbyterian and Baptist churches go to this 3-month class and God speaks to them? All of them? It didn't make sense. And when you challenge it, now you're the a-hole. Now you're disrespectful. Now you're not joining the church.
Let me say something too, LC, real quick. I'm going to let you go real quick. You got to understand our generation that we came from, right? The generation that we came from, whatever your parents said was law. That was the end of discussion. And I think what changed was, to me, that nowadays, the generation, they don't have a lot of respect for their parents. So when our parents said something to us, it was law. Now, situation...
We're probably similar age. We're probably similar age, actually.
Yeah, your situation was abuse, though, to me. What you sound like to me, that was straight up abuse. Now I'm gonna be real with you. I remember growing up, LC, like, hey, you had no choice but to go to church. Like
Right. No, right.
you gonna be in Sunday school. It doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying?
I've been an atheist for 30 years. I still can play hymns on the piano, and I know the words when I go once or twice a year with my
That's
parents.
cool. But I'm saying back in our days, that's just what it was. And I just think, sometimes, nowadays, everybody has an opinion on how things should be. Like you was talking about spanking. We grew up with spanking. You did something wrong, you did something foul, you got spanked. It is what it is. And think about it, LC, too. I'm gonna keep it a buck with you because we keep it real on here. We didn't have a whole lot of issues that they having now with young children.
Agree. I agree.
Right?
I agree. No,
So-
I definitely agree because I think that it went from over parenting, not over parenting, I don't want to say it like that, but from what you're describing or whatever
Yeah.
to like the other. But I think, and my parents are older, so the people who adopted me were about 30, like 8 and 37. So they were literally the same age as my biological grandparents. So my biological grandparents and the people who raised me, my parents are like the same age. But that being said, I just want to get to the positive part of how
Go ahead, real
how
quick.
we
Go
grow.
ahead.
But I want to get background on like
Hey,
it's
look,
crazy
LC, look,
because
and I love it too because I love your energy that you bring. So go ahead. I want to listen. Go ahead, real
I mean,
quick.
but think about it though. Like when you're 14 and you say to your parents, so every 8th grader in the country is now in this like religious Bible study class for 3 months where we're dedicating our lives to God. Like this happens all over the country. Like, because it doesn't make sense. Like I'm not knocking religion. I'm not knocking religion.
Real quick, I want to say something. I'm gonna let you finish. Happy to be here just said some of the realest thing right here tonight. She said we responded to our upbringing by going too far with gentle parenting, and I agree with that.
Yes,
I agree with that.
I'll get to that too. So
Go ahead,
that
go ahead,
being
finish
said,
up, finish up,
no,
finish
no,
up.
no. So that being said, what finally, and then also like my dad's mother lived with us, and she was very rude to me about being adopted and stuff. It was like craziness. So in the end, they never really admitted to doing these things. They never fully admitted that these things happen, even with receipts, even with everything, even with my grandmother who lived with us stopped talking to me when I was like 12 or 13, just was like, I'm done with you, and still lived in our house. And my dad's like, I just don't remember that. I'm like, you're lying, dude. Like, let's just call your sister. Everybody in the family knows that this happened. So essentially when I met my bio family, I think it shook them. Like, oh, she does have another family technically. And then they really wanted to have the conversations. And again, when we spoke, I said, no, we've told you numerous times. They knew I was upset. But finally, my dad was like, I want to know one more time. I'm going to take notes, blah, blah. And we spoke for like 2-3 hours, 4 or 5 hours one day. And then we didn't talk for like 3 or 4 weeks. And then he came back. I guess I don't even think he did research. I think he actually came from
hold on,
honest
LC.
place.
So basically what you're telling me is parents need to take accountability for some of the things they did while bringing up their children. Is that what I'm hearing?
Right. Even if you're like, I did it with the best intentions. At 43, I can appreciate what my parents were trying to do. I can appreciate it. I can appreciate the type of person they were trying to raise. I can appreciate some of the strictness and the rigidness and structure they were trying to provide. But also, you have kids. Kids can be very different. Like at 43, I still suffer from ADHD. My parents are like, you like little things that bother them. Anywho, when we didn't speak for 3 weeks. He like read all the notes. I guess he did a little research. He came back and he's like, let's talk. So we went out for like a whole day and we talked some more and he finally had accept, like he did these things and like without the excuses. And what I'll say is when we finally kind of made up, maybe 6 months later, we had a conversation about something about high school. And he's like, you were always gone in high school.
But hold on, real quick.
I said, yeah, because I didn't. I said,
move on from you. Real quick.
I just want to finish up with 10 seconds. I said, because I did not want to be in that house in high school. And his response to me is, I understand that now. And that was it. I was able to forgive. He understood the environment he created.
Real quick. I'm going to say this to you. But when are you going to get to that point to where you stop letting this control the rest of your life? You say you're 42 years old, right?
It doesn't. Me and my parents are cool now.
That's what I'm talking about. And that's what I want to hear. All right, LC, look, I appreciate you. I got to get back to my guest. Thank you so much. I appreciate you, though. Thank you for coming up. All right. Miss Thomas, hold on. I know you said you had something you wanted to, you were trying to ask a question. Go ahead.
It was that first video that I sent to you.
Yes.
And I just can't remember what it was about, Stephanie. I apologize for that. But you use the word growth like all the time. And I remember I sent, when I sent it to Erin, I said, I wonder if growth equals, like the word growth that she's using also equals maturity.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I would think it would.
In that video, I think if I'm not mistaken, Thomas, you were saying like, it took some growth for me to get to this point to where I wanted to have a relationship or wanted to be back into my parents' life. Is that what it was, Thomas?
I think it was her talking about her thing, and I made growth, and I was able to get back with my family and all that.
Mhm.
Oh, I wish I should have went back and watched it.
Is this a video where I recently went home?
Hold on. I'll tell you what.
He's probably got it on his other phone.
I got it right here. Hold on. I'm gonna pull it up. Maybe y'all can hear it. Let's see.
There went no contact.
I don't know if y'all can hear this or not.
And now you are thinking about bringing them back into your life. I want you to know, coming from someone that has
that video.
You know what I'm talking about?
Recently came back into my
So on this video, you were talking about
that this is only to be done when you have a clear idea of what your intentions are.
So in this video, you talking about going back home? Yeah, that's that video. Yeah, that video. So I think that's what Thomas was talking about. So does growth mean that to you? Does it mean on that aspect for you?
Well, I say these words intentionally. Healing and growth are two different things.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Healing doesn't necessarily mean accountability or responsibility. Mm-hmm. Healing is now I am facing the thing. Now I am uncovering it. I'm looking at the wound. I'm taking care of the wound. And that can look like right now, you are the blame. That could look like hurt. That could look like the inner child, the trauma, facing it. Okay. Mm-hmm. But then growth is now I'm ready to hold myself accountable and take responsibility for my life. And now I can choose the type of person I want to be and how I want to show up in life. Those are two different, healing and growth is two different things. So you want to make sure that you know where you are in your journey, because you might be in the journey of healing. Like right now, like with a lot of parents, I am hurt. I'm in pain. I don't like this. All the things, okay? Name it, say it, okay? But then when you get through the pain and the hurt, now it's time for you, when you're ready, it's time for you to start growing. It's time for you to start taking some accountability. It's time for you to start making different decisions. It's time for you to start handling your emotions and your communication and how you listen. It's time. That's the growth aspect. Okay. So that's what I like for people to do, is know the difference and know where you are in the spectrum of healing and growth.
Man, 100%. Parents, did you hear that? Man, Stephanie, thank you so much. I appreciate you there. Look, I know I kept you over a little bit of your time today, but thank you so much for coming on today, talking to my parents in here. We always, we try to, it's hard to find people like you who are willing to come on the lives, speak their truth, tell their truth, and just be honest and help parents out. Because there's a lot of parents, a lot of us are struggling with this right now. A lot. So, I appreciate you taking out your time and just being transparent with us. And I can say I appreciate it.
Oh, I didn't know we had a time limit.
We're going.
I thought I know your look, it said 30 minutes. I was like, damn, I done went past the 30 minutes.
Oh, no, that's the 30 minutes for that free
cool.
call.
Sure, that's what I'm saying. I was like, hold on now.
That was what that was for. Oh, look, yeah, no, I don't have a...
Look, Coach, I'm like, you family now, shit. Come on with it. hey, look, Shat said this, the one last thing parents can do is never stop trying, send B-Day cards, send Chris. I disagree with that, LaChat.
I disagree with it, too. I don't agree with it.
I don't agree with that.
That can backfire. I don't think a lot of parents understand that a lot of these kids will slap you with harassment orders.
Yep. 100%. 100%. I know. And you got to be careful. We had parents come on here Look, Chad, I don't know your real name, but we have some parents come on here and say that their children told them, do not come back to my house again. And what did they do? They showed back up. They called the police on them folks. So to me, when you tell me you don't want me in your life, damn it, I'm gonna do what you tell me to do.
Yeah,
I'm
but
gonna roll
the
that
way
route.
you just explained it, the parents couldn't accept a boundary.
Correct. She said that's different. Respect the boundaries, right? Kirsten just said it. Exactly. But I'm saying, like, even if you continue to reach out with birthday cards, Christmas cards, you're just basically just continuing to chase someone who doesn't want to have a relationship with you until they get to the point, like Stephanie said earlier, until they get to that point, then it ain't gonna change. Right, Stephanie?
Yeah, and you know what's interesting? My mom did that. Like all of these years, my mom would send me the birthday cards. She would like follow me, not necessarily follow me around, but on social media, follow me around, give me all this attention. And to her, she was looking at it like she's a good mom and she's always going to be here for me no matter what. For me, I looked at it as harassment. I looked at it as self-centeredness. I didn't look at it as she was doing that for me. I looked at it she was doing that for attention. And I didn't like it because it didn't matter if you did all the things. If you didn't understand or see why I wanted no contact with you, then what's the point of you doing those things? And I also lost respect for her. I was like, have some respect and decency for yourself.
Ooh, man. You ain't getting that on no one else live but here, baby. We keeping it real right there, man. That's what I'm saying. What Stephanie just said, I think that was totally true. Happy to be here said, if I tried to contact, I would be accused of disrespecting boundaries. That's what Stephanie just said. You know what I mean? Exactly. Exactly. So, and Stephanie, it's hard for us parents to understand that aspect of the not chasing, right? Like it's so hard for us to understand, like, hey, you don't want to chase. You know what I mean? So it's tough. You know what I mean?
I think what I would do, because I have a child, and then say it if he wanted to go no contact, I think what I would do is maybe once a year, I'll send him a message like, hey, just checking on you. I know you don't, but I'm just here because sometimes people don't know how to reopen the door. So I would just do that. And they said, no, but all right, okay, bye, I'm out. Like I would do it that way because you just never know what someone is going through and what season they're in.
Well, Stephanie,
But consistently doing that, no.
Doesn't that play
Go ahead,
into
Thomas.
doesn't that play into my friend Dundee's situation?
Mm-hmm.
His daughter hadn't talked to him in 12 years. He calls me up, oh, birthday's coming up. What should I do? And I was like, don't do anything. Thank God he didn't listen to me because she was in the depths of hell at that point and needed her daddy.
Right on time.
Right on time. If he had listened to me, he wouldn't be in the situation and repairing his relationship.
Right on time. But I love what Stephanie said, though, Thomas, about the whole aspect of when her mother was reaching out to her, what it made her feel like. And I just think that's great for parents to hear and understand. Hey, because sometimes we think more is better. I'm going to reach out. You know what I mean?
I 100% agree. And I didn't chase. And that was very hard for me because my love language is gifting.
Mm-hmm.
Very hard.
Mine too.
But I never chased from day one.
Which is awesome. Yeah, Mama Bear says, chasing my kids just enabled them to continue their entitlement attitude. Yeah, because they're gonna use and abuse that, man. Like that's what I'm saying. When Stephanie, I've never heard someone say it the way that she just said it on that aspect of what she felt like when her mother kept chasing, sending her cards, sending her this, and she was like, what are we doing here? What are you doing here? I never heard it in that aspect before. Kirsten said, keeping my running shoes in the closet. Thank you. Damned if you do, you damned. Yeah, that's true too. Right? Ray said, you damned if we do, we damned if we don't. It's a hard situation. That's why the estrangement is so tough. But tonight, you're getting a chance to hear from someone who went through it and what she felt like when her mother reached out to her like that. So, that right there to me, because I get a lot of parents talking about that aspect of, I want to send a birthday card. Go ahead, Thomas.
How can you be damned if you do, damned if you don't?
I think she's talking about when you were talking about with Dundee.
Oh, right. But in all the majority of our situations, they've asked for no contact.
Correct.
So we're just respecting it. But I do get where they can probably get a little bit pissed off about it.
Yeah. MF says we are guilty no matter what. As far as parents, MF, that's what you're talking about. Well, the big thing I can tell you when you're dealing with estrangement, the ball's in your adult child's life. I mean, in their court. So,
Listen,
you know what I mean?
I've told this story before. I was 46 and I went basically estranged from my mom. For years, we were like two bulls fighting in a pasture. And it was at the worst time of her life for me to do it. But I had so many other things happen. And when I came back into her life, it was because of the death of a mutual friend's child. And from that moment on, after probably about 4 weeks of learning how to navigate each other and building the trust up again, we were thicker than thieves. The problem I had already had. I had always had my entire life was having expectations of my mom that just weren't going to be there. And once I learned how to not have the expectations, but also to bring things to her attention, like i.e. medicine that she was on, instead of saying, get off that fucking shit like I normally would, it was just like, hey, I read this about this medication. The next thing my mom would look it up and she'd be texting me, oh, I got to get off of it. I had to learn to approach her. We both did, actually.
And Stephanie, you said that earlier today. You said that earlier today about, having expectations and making sure you had the right expectations on dealing with your mother.
Yeah, I think that's the issue with the parent-child relationship is expectations. Parents had an expectations about who their child should be and how the relationship was, and it didn't turn out that way. And then even with children, we also put the same expectations on our parents. Like I would love for my mom to be the type of person I could come to and talk to about anything. But I can't because she doesn't listen. She is not going to listen to nothing. Like anytime I come to her and like say you need to talk to somebody about something. I'm not going to go to her because I know that she just doesn't listen. But I'm not going to make her a bad person. I just know the way my mom communicates, she's one of those people that wants to relate everything you say back to her. And if I want somebody to talk to that will really listen and be with me, I will find somebody else.
Got you. Yes.
I was kind of the same way with my mom.
Were you?
Yeah. And let me tell you something. I reconnected with my mother, and the last 2 years of her life, we were thicker than thieves, to the point that when the day she passed away, this is a story, thank God there was a doctor in front of us, routine doctor's appointment, wanted to see some bruises. Doctor looked at her legs, pulled her pants back up, sat down, said, oh my God, why am I so dizzy? Looked directly at my face. We were sitting side by side. She leaned back ever so gently against the wall, put her head on my right shoulder, and was gone.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So time is just because, with the whole situation where I bet you had a bunch of different emotions in your body and in your mind at that point
At that time?
Yeah.
Aaron, I'm a bitch, believe it or not, like a little bitch. I ran out of the doctor's office like an idiot, screaming, call 911. I was panicked.
Yeah.
I was sick to my stomach. And my biggest regret, still to this day, this was a little bit over 2 years ago, that I went no contact with my mom. I can't get that time back. But I also think during that time frame, it taught my own child to be able to go no contact with me. Because that happened like basically the same exact day that I did it with my mom.
And that's why, Thomas, when Stephanie was talking about that earlier, I came in
late. I came in late.
Okay. When she was talking about that earlier about how she went no contact, but she forgave her parents, I thought that was just like so deep to me because of what you just said. We don't know how long we got on this earth.
So I've said this to you before. There was always that saying of, life can end in a minute.
Correct.
It was a saying. I literally saw it happen in a second.
Yep.
It was, yeah.
But like Amy said, she said you made that time back at the end.
I did, and Amy can tell you, because we're sister-in-laws, my mother and I were like bulls. We fought for the longest time, and we were so... And Amy, in her defense, at my granddaughter's birthday told my mom that she was the only one that could fix our family.
Mm.
And my
Hey,
mom reached out to everybody, pastors, friends, and nobody helped. You know what they said? This is just a season.
it'll pass. Well,
Yeah,
you know,
well,
hey, let's be honest though. I almost thought that, as far as estrangement, I thought it was just a season. It is something that will pass. But if you really look at it, estrangement's been going on a long time. If you dig deep down into your family roots, they just didn't call it estrangement. Hey, look, the old school say, I don't fuck with such and such, such and such. Y'all know how they roll. I don't fuck with your auntie. I can't stand it. We didn't think of it as estrangement, but that's the way that they, you know what I'm saying? They were doing it back then.
okay, I got a question for anybody in the chat, including you, Aaron, because I'm white. I was not raised in the church. Is it in the Bible? Isn't there estrangement in the Bible?
Whew. That's a great
I saw a
question.
TikTok about it. I didn't know if it was true or not.
Stephanie, do you know that?
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know. I'm trying to think. I don't know.
I think there is.
Look, Cher said it is. Yes. Cher said yes. Yeah. Like Kirsten was saying, they just didn't talk about it. That was yes, it is in the Bible. Wow, y'all got me want to go dig up in my Bible now. I'm gonna have to go pull it out.
And because we're so old, can you just give me the Cliff Notes?
Yeah, I will give it to you. I got you. Mama Bear says, meaning by accepting her, it made it possible to have a relationship. What do you mean, Mama Bear? She says, meaning by accepting her, it made it possible to have a relationship with her. I guess you...
I think she's talking about me because I finally, in the end, accepted my mom.
Okay.
And was able to see her as a person instead of competition, I guess, for lack of better words.
But do you think that allowed you to have a relationship with your mother?
Yes, ultimately, 100%.
And Stephanie, for you the same?
The
question was, she said, meaning by accepting her, it made it possible to have a relationship. So basically, by you accepting how your mother is, who she is, and all that, it made you be able to have a relationship with her.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
Accepting her for who she is.
I wonder how we can get more people to think that way. Like, hey, sometimes you got to realize, and I realized this dealing with my parents. Once they get to a certain age, they're not changing. What you see is what you get, right? And I know some people don't like to hear that, but that's the truth. So you either going to accept some of their flaws and be like, that's just how mama is, how my dad is, or you're never going to have a relationship with some of that, especially the older generation.
Yeah, I think it starts with you accepting yourself.
It's
about how
Sorry.
yourself. Work on that relationship first.
Work on yourself. Work on accepting yourself. Okay. Look, everybody asking about where is it at in the Bible. People.
LC Chats said, do you feel like acceptance was letting yourself down? Me personally, absolutely not. You know what? It set me free.
What about you, Stephanie?
Yeah, I agree with Diamonds. It set me free. Like, I hated my mom so much. I hated that she just could trigger me. I just didn't like that feeling. And now it's like, I love my mom. And no, she is not perfect. She is still the same person. but I've changed with how I choose to see it. And I get to decide when I want her in my life and when I don't. And when I say that, just talking to her on the phone, but just accepting her and her unhealed parts. But realizing I don't have to do anything with her unhealed parts. That's her responsibility. No?
100%. 100%. LC Chats, let me tell you something real quick. When I heard your voice, I still hear a lot of anger. A lot of anger. You know what I'm saying? I don't know your whole situation. I know we was talking about it for a little bit, but I hear a lot of anger. And sometimes we got to let some of that go. You know, like Stephanie just said, we got to heal ourselves to allow ourselves to let some of that go and be like, hey, I got to move on with my life. You know what I mean? I have to. But I heard some of that in your voice.
But don't be like naive and think that once you're healed, you're healed. I think healing goes on till the day you die.
Correct. Yeah. Look, Coach Mark said, what verse is that? Y'all need to put it down in the chat, the chapter, because we're going to look that up tomorrow, man. We got to look that up, Coach. I ain't never seen that part in the Bible. Steph says accepting your parents for who they are. Correct. Yeah. You accept each other, basically. Cher says, Joseph, the coat of many colors. Is that what is that ain't in the Bible, is it? Hold on.
Somebody
Hold
said
on
Cain
now.
and
I didn't see
Abel,
that part now,
the
Shay. Hold
prodigal
on.
son, the prodigal son.
Prodigal said, maybe. Kirsten said, but don't you think us older folks, we don't think that way? What you mean, Kirsten? What you mean by that? Let me know. Freedom and peace. Oh, well, I don't understand that either, Fran. What you mean on that, Kirsten? If you want to come up, you can. Mama Bear said, it took me seeing my dad as a human and flawed to accept him and be able to have a relationship with him. Yeah. Yeah. I think a lot of us struggle with that aspect. You know what I mean? A lot of us do. Let me see. Time is yes, right? Yeah. Prodigal son wasn't estranged, I don't think. We're gonna have to read that up. I'm gonna have to bring that up on the next live, but man, y'all got me wanting to look.
We're gonna chat GPT it.
Chat GPT, that's what it is. The gospel about the prodigal son. You right. Thomas, how you knew that? No matter how, Kirsten says, no matter how our parents are, we just accepted it, that who they are without crucifying. Now see, that's what we was talking about earlier, Stephanie and Thomas. Our generation, no matter what our parents were, we accepted it. We didn't disrespect them. We said, you know what, that's mama, that's dad. It is what it is. We're going to keep it moving. Was that right? Going like thinking about it nowadays, I don't necessarily think that was right. I think, you know what I'm saying? Because I think that's why a lot of us deal with a lot of different types of trauma, because we just accept it and be like, well, that's mom and that's daddy. You know what I mean, Stephanie?
Yeah.
And I think that's a problem. We were, and like Kirsten said, we respected our elders on a whole different level. But think about this, Kirsten, and y'all remember this. In a lot of households, you had somebody in the household, uncle, daddy, cousin, or something like that, that was doing something inappropriate. And a lot of people swept that type of stuff up under the rug because they respected their elders so much. And a lot of issues came from that. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I just believe, I don't necessarily believe some of the things that we did back then as far as respect for our elders. Thinking about it now, it's like, man, some of that stuff we should have called them out on. You know what I mean, Stephanie?
Yeah. Definitely.
So, go ahead.
Yeah, but I also like what someone said, that based on our childhood, that then we took gentle parenting too far.
Correct.
So it's kind of like we're trying to, find the balance of parenting, Yeah, that's something that I struggle with every day now that I'm a parent. Because, we all were good parents before we had kids. Right? We all judged our parents before we even had kids. And once we become a parent, I know for me, it's like, I'm like, oh, okay.
So hold on, Stephanie. Do you do gentle parenting now?
I wouldn't necessarily say gentle parenting. I like to call myself conscious parenting, which means to be conscious in like what I'm doing and how I'm showing up in my child's life. Mm-hmm. And I will say that over the years, my parenting style has changed, because raising a baby boy is different than raising a 7-year-old. So maybe I did more gentle parenting when he was a baby, mm-hmm. but as he's getting older, I'm just like, no, that ain't working. Like, so I'm more so about the type of parenting of consequences. Okay. Like, I tried to spank my child, but that didn't work. It might have gave me the result right then and there, mm-hmm. but it didn't create a new habit. So I'm more so about parenting by changing the behavior. And with my child, he just has to know what he do. There's a consequence to that. And he's 7 years old now. And so that has been working so far. But I'm the type of parent, I parent based on his development. So right now, between 7 to 9, I can parent him a certain way. But then when he gets to the 10 to the 13, that's going to be a different type of parenting.
I totally agree. I say this all the time, Stephanie. As a parent, I made this mistake. I kept parenting my children like they were still teenagers, and I didn't realize that they're now young adults. And so I tell parents all the time exactly what you said. every step of your parenting life, you have to change it up. You got to switch it up. And so I totally agree with you, because like with my children, I spanked them young, like when they were young, I spanked them. I spanked them, did the whole nine. Once they got to that, I'm going to say about sixth grade, fifth grade, something like that. Then it was like, do I need to go there with you? So it was already an understanding. So the spanking stopped. But I spanked them when they were young. They like to set hey, look here, we don't do that. We can't do that. We in the South. It's yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. That's how I raised them. But then once they got to a certain point in time, I was like, hey, I just look at them. And they would get kind of scared. But one of the mistakes I made in my parenting journey was when my kids when they became young adults, I was still parenting them like they were teenagers. That was a mistake that I made. My wife actually told me that. She's like, at every stage, you have to parent differently. So
Can I say something about that?
Go ahead.
Do you know that my mother was still parenting me like a teenager up until the day she died?
Mm-hmm. Wow. Wow.
I don't know why. I didn't know a day of life in 46 years without my parents.
And so you were only child too, right, Thomas?
Exactly. And when my husband was in the service and when we moved down to Georgia where we live, they moved right with me and bought the house right next door to me.
Yeah, so you was always, yeah.
Yeah.
You was her everything.
Listen, I couldn't leave my house without my mom checking my location, going, where you going?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, she wanted to be involved in everything. And that's, speaking of, Stephanie, are you no more children?
No more children.
No more.
I like the idea of more children, but no more children.
Hey, like, I'm one and done.
She's living her best life.
Hey, I don't blame you.
That's one thing that I say that I got wrong in parenting was that you do need a community. You need a community of people, and I didn't have that. But then also what I learned going back home was that my child, because he's homeschooled, and it's always been me, him, and his dad. And we kind of lived an isolated life, especially living in Hawaii. And so I realized that, because you know how they said that homeschool children, they need to be in school because of social skills.
Right.
But the thing that I realized is that, because I make sure he get into social activities, but the thing that I learned, that I saw, that my child didn't have respect for other adults because he wasn't used to being around a lot of adults except for me and his dad. So he respects us, he listens to us, but when it comes to other adults, he handles them like they're on his level, because so that's why I think it's really important to have your children around older people, different type of adults, so that they can learn to have that respect naturally. Because my son ain't really used to being around old people. So when he was around my grandmother and she needed his help, he was like, no, I'm busy. And I was like, and my uncle got all mad at him, and he said, your mama go beat you. And I was like, okay, relax. And I had to sit down. I said, then in the family, the elders, they need our help. He didn't understand. And I realized it's because he's not used to being around different types of people. Now he's used to being around children and getting that, but it's beyond that. It's because if you want your children to respect adults, they have to be able to be around them and experience different adults. And that's the thing I realized I need to do better with that.
And Stephanie, I always say, for a lot of us parents, right, it's hard for a parent to admit faults. Right. So I remember when I was going through therapy, that was like one of the main things that I had to, like, you got to humble yourself. You know what I mean? Because, as parents, we be like, I'll be damned. Shit, I know what I'm doing. But you got to humble yourself sometimes and look back and say, you know what? I was wrong for doing that. I was foul for doing that. That wasn't right. You know what I mean? I think a lot of parents struggle with that aspect of parenting. So when you hear your estranged child, say some of the things that they didn't necessarily agree with, or that they thought was wrong, you got to humble yourself, You know what I mean, Stephanie?
Yeah, and a lot of people tell me based on my content, it was like, well, wait till your child grows up and they want to do that to you. And I'm just like, no, I'm ready because I'm ready to hold myself accountable. Like I'm doing the best that I can, but I don't know if my best is really what was required for him. So if he comes to me and be like, Mom, my childhood was this and that, I'm gonna be ready to like, I apologize. Now, what could we do? We could do better because I know I made a lot of poor decisions.
Correct.
I know I'm working on the job that I did not get the skills and the tools. I'm like just winging it a lot of times in parenting. So I can hold myself accountable if my son ever does come to me as an adult and says that he didn't really like my childhood. Oh, if somebody said like something about Old Spice, no, actually my son told my grandmother that he didn't want to hug her because she smells like tuna fish.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I have created a child that is vocal, communicate, and tells the truth. But
hey, we need him on air and real talk, Stephanie.
Yeah.
Wow. Grandma, whoa, did she hear him? Because sometimes Granny can't hear that good.
She did hear. She was just like tuna fish. She was like, well, sometimes I don't get to the bathroom on time.
Oh no, I got him
here. Just don't go back and forth with this child. Yeah. So they having to work on that, like getting him around more adults.
Oh, that's good though. Like I say, as parents, we got to look and say to ourselves, hey, we got to continue to keep learning. There's a lot of stuff that we can learn from our children, and listen, we made some mistakes, guys. It's part of it. But one thing that irks me, Stephanie, I'm going to be real with you. I can't stand just say like, especially with the younger generation, and you're trying to tell them, hey, if you go down this route, then this is going to happen. If you go down that route, then, you have a better chance of succeeding. And they take that as, like, they take that as trauma, or you're saying something that's negative. And I'm like, no, I'm
more
trying
like
to
trying
help
to
you.
Control them.
Yeah, we're trying to control them. I'm trying to help you not make the same mistakes that I did. Why do they look at it like that, Stephanie?
Because like just as something that you said earlier, that that at a certain point in parenting, you have the control, but then when they reach a certain age, now they have to learn. See, when
Stephanie,
they were younger,
Stephanie.
you knew you could spank them and do all that. But then once they got older, spanking got outdated. So if they're telling you that I feel like you're controlling me, you're basically taking their autonomy away to make decisions. Because parenting is not about keeping your child from making the same mistakes as you did. Parenting is, if you make the same mistake that I did, I am here to parent and guide you through that because I know, because I've been there and done that. And I think that if you could relate to your child more, they will listen to you more. But you have to give your child autonomy to make those decisions. You still have time between 13 to 18. You still have time to parent them, but parenting is going to be different because now they do have to they are responsible for the decisions that they're making, but you're there to guide them through that. Be there for them. Yeah.
That sounds so good, but then my mind is like, hell to the no, Stephanie. Stephanie, I'm stubborn, man. I'm like, man, no, I'm telling you, you go down to the left, your ass is going to be broke. And they looking at me like, Dad, that ain't what I'm trying to hear. But you're 100% right with that, Stephanie. You're 100%.
Yeah, I think what you could do is ask them questions. I think instead of telling them, learn how to ask better questions. Ask them questions. Get curious about what they're doing to do.
Give me a scenario then. So I'm coming to you, right? And I'm going to tell you, my mama, Stephanie, I'm saying I'm going to be this great rapper. I got this album that's coming out. It's going to drop on CD and vinyl. I'm going platinum in the ghetto. Mama, what should I do?
Or would they say that?
Yeah, I'm just saying. I'm just saying they come like they.
No,
That's the
give
type
me
of
a real
scenario.
scenario that
I'll give you a
happened
real
with you.
scenario.
Give me a real scenario this
Yeah.
time.
Give me a scenario that
Okay.
that you have.
Go ahead,
But we're
Tyler.
past the age of 18. We're about 19.
Okay.
Child, you have like a bright future. It's dangling right there for your taking.
Mhm.
It's a once in a lifetime opportunity. And you're trying to guide them, get into the basically playbook, learn the plays, try to do your best. And they just shit it all away
Okay.
because they don't want that type of guidance.
Okay.
I'm doing what I need to do.
Okay.
That type of stuff.
Okay. Well, I don't think the work is pointing out what they did. I think the work is you sitting down and analyzing how you feel about it.
You
Not
can't
about
like be face to face because it's hours away.
okay. Well, yeah, because then I would ask you, how do you feel about that? How do you feel about your child shitting their life away?
Oh, I'm indifferent to it, but I know that they aren't.
They aren't indifferent to
No,
your
because I'm 100% positive that they regret the choices that we tried to help them make.
yeah.
Yeah. So and that's what I'm saying. That to me, Stephanie, is what time is one of the hardest part of parenting. You know, like
Stephanie's not at that age yet, though. I should have given her the age that she's at, but I don't really have one.
Coach, I'm gonna let Coach, what you got?
What's happening, everybody?
How you doing?
Miss Stephanie, first of all, let me ask you what island are you on in Hawaii?
Well, I was on the Big Island, but now I'm in Playa del Carmen, Mexico.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now I'm gonna pose this way to you. Your child has a college education in her hands. Pretty much scholarship paid. And she's talking to outside friends. And the boyfriend is becoming more the aesthetic of what she wants. How do you address that? Do you say take the college education, or what's going on with this boyfriend situation?
Yeah.
I would first sit down and talk with her.
But hold on now, Stephanie. Hold on.
Because Aaron knows my situation.
Hold on
No,
now,
Aaron
Stephanie.
knows my situation.
He knows mine too.
Yeah.
Exactly. So and I'm giving you the crux of what I had to face.
Correct.
She had this whole college education in the palm of your hands.
Mm-hmm.
And part of our now estrangement is due to her mother. I'm the recourse of the problem, but I'm the one that held you down, put you on the right path. Basically, my goal was to get you across that high school stage and off to college. Once you get to college, by your second year, I was pretty much going to cut the strings loose and you're on your own. You got this. But before we could even cross the high school stage, we started making wrong choices.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm on the defense saying, hold up, make sure you really think about this. And my choice of words to her was like, you can go do this college thing, get this education, get into the career that you want to get into, or you can go out here and play in these streets. But I promise you, the two don't go together.
And it was 100% paid scholarship.
100%.
Pretty much.
Okay.
So Stephanie, was Coach Mark, was he wrong as a father?
Wrong in what aspect?
I'm saying, was he wrong for telling his daughter, like, hey, if you make the decision and go left, this is how your life is going to turn out. If you go right, you have this opportunity to have a free education. Or should he have just let her go out and make the decision that she wanted to make, and from our standpoint, mess up her whole situation, which was a free education.
Well, I think when we're dealing with the parent and adult child, we need to take away the right and wrong.
Okay.
Because our adult children are human beings, and you are a human being, and this is a relationship. So, in any relationship, everyone has their own way of looking at things, even your child. So, and everyone has a different way they communicate and understand. So if you don't take the time to understand how your adult child or your child communicates and see the world, it's going to be kind of hard to talk to them, because you're talking to them based on how you understand and you see the world. Okay, so that's the first thing I would tell parents, because I have a 7-year-old boy. So I'm there. So I'm taking the time to understand how he communicates, how he sees the world, and what motivates him. Okay? So I'm not going to say certain things to him, because it's going to go through one ear out the other. But I understand him so well. I know what motivates him. I know what triggers him. I know how to manipulate him, so to speak, to get him to do the thing that I think is beneficial. Because when we say manipulate, I think manipulation is okay if it's for the benefit of that person. So I know his language, so I know how to talk to him. So when y'all say the things that y'all are saying to your child, do you honestly think that they feel inspired by what you're saying? By saying, if you go this way, it's going to be hell. If you go that way, this is better. It's like, that's a lot.
Well, yeah, in this generation, they don't process what we say, because we've been through it. We've been down that road.
I hate to say it, Mark, but damn it, she's about right.
Yeah, no, I get what she's saying. No, it's we process it because we come from that era where we've been through some shit, and we know what's going on.
Yep.
This generation here, you could say it in gold letters, and they're going to take it as trauma.
Correct.
Exactly.
And that wasn't my choice of words to put her in a trauma situation. I already understood that she was listening to the outside sources.
Yes.
Instead of listening to in-house.
Yeah.
Your in-house had your best interests. Even if you didn't want to go to that college, you could have told me that. And I would have found you a better path to help you, guide you in that direction. You jumped out there because this person is woofing in your ear.
Coach, let me ask you a question real quick, though. Was you a hard parent on her?
Yes.
And
yes.
There you go.
Yes, I was hard. And the reason why I was hard is I could see there was so much potential in her. And every time she would come home with straight A's and everything she did in her sports, and she would come home with these awards, I was like praising her. But as soon as I saw that 1 inch and you could see the downfall coming, I'm like reeling her in. Come, bring it on back, because I see what you about to do, and this is going to get you caught up in some nonsense. And she kind of looked at me sideways, and I said, trust me on this. And sure enough, something would bite her on her ankle.
But what parent wouldn't do that to try to help the kid reel him back in?
Correct. 100%.
No, that's not a fault.
But that was with my situation with my divorce and everything. And her mom just kind of waited away. I had to be that dad that, I'm sorry, my dad wasn't there for me. My mom's was the one that held me down. My mom's was working 3 jobs. So I understood it. But again, this generation doesn't process how we came up. So I guess, and the fault, I didn't change to the new generation. I gave the old school instillment that this is how it worked for me. This generation don't do that.
Yeah. Exactly.
But I think with us, with our older children, it wasn't something that we could have stopped, because the late mid-20s to mid-30s, they started flipping around their early 20s.
What you mean?
Like, things started changing in the world, and you know, you had Facebook and social media and all that.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, like
social media,
right,
social media got in our way.
Stephanie's child's gonna grow up in a world that didn't know that has social media. Our children grew up in a world where they didn't have it, and then all of a sudden it was just everywhere.
Correct.
And I'm going to say this again: kids don't know how to be bored.
Oh yes, I love when you say that, Thomas. That's 100% fact.
My problem for me, and it wasn't with my child, it wasn't just me, it was the town, it was a whole bunch of other people. My child became a business, and I should have stopped it, but he wanted it at the same time. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
I get where you're going with that, but I kept her reeled in to a point where I said, listen to that person, take what they say. That person over there, hell no.
Right.
Well,
right.
I was always on the defense. I was the protector.
I was the protector too. Like anybody that wanted to talk to the child had to go through me. And it was in the notes of some big colleges that I was a jerk, and I had some retired coach tell me the same thing. But I was also I tried to keep them as humble as possible. Like, you might have won a big game on TV, but buddy, you're taking that trash can up.
Yeah, get on them dishes.
Yeah. I mean,
I had the same thing. I had these, I think when she hit 11th grade, the recruiters came left and right, and I had to sit down and read all these emails, and I was like, delete. Hey, check this one out. Delete. Let's talk to this one. Yeah. But when that coach came with the whole Zoom and the whole tour, the lunch and everything, I just looked at it and I said, here it is on a silver platter. You can't get no better than this. But it took some time.
I think y'all, what Stephanie was saying earlier, going back and just looking at it, maybe it was just the way that we communicated certain things, because like Coach was saying, the way that we talk to our children is the way that our parents talk to us. But I don't think what we realized was they not us. They not built like us.
And I agree. Just like how you said, you used to discipline your kids. Correct. I did the same thing. But then I kind of stepped back and said, is that really the answer? Correct. Because that's just a moment in time.
Yeah.
And I said, you know what? What used to screw me up was when I became that 13, 14-year-old, my mom used to cop the TV, the Atari, the boombox, and all that. Man, I was fucked up. I used to just pretty much walk out with the belt. Here you go. Get that over with.
Yeah, it wasn't no big deal no more.
It wasn't no big deal. So that's how these kids now. They ain't worried about that.
But look though, Mark.
You take that phone, bro, you done took their life.
But look, Mark, we got beat. It was damn near child abuse. Sometimes
There was a few times I wanted to run away.
They was child abuse. So, But no, man, look, Stephanie, I know you got to go. I appreciate you coming on tonight. Thank you again for staying. I appreciate it so much. Thank you.
I got a few more minutes.
Look good. I want to ask her a question then.
Keep on.
Listen, I really got to ask this question because I'm still mind blown. I have not been able to get over the last live.
Go ahead.
That's all I've been doing is sitting thinking about what this person said. If you and your husband bought your adult child a car. Because Mark already knows. I have not been able to let this go. And you made that conscious decision as adults to give your adult child a car, then it is wrong for you to take it back. What was the rest of it?
So it was kind of like this, Stephanie. And this right here, it's got the live and the uproar. So basically, I said for me, we pay for college, we pay for our kids' cars, right? So if you stop going to college, hey, now you got to pay that car note. You get what I'm saying? Because we look at you as a full-fledged adult. And what the lady was saying was, she said when she went to therapy, the therapist said, so if you take back what you gave them, then now you're just basically showing another way that you're trying to control them.
And it's transactional.
It's transactional. Okay. What do you say to that, Steph?
I think that if you would have presented it, and you can tell me if you did or not, if you presented it as, okay, so here's the agreement. If you do this, and that, this is what is included in this.
Correct.
If you choose to go this route, but
Correct.
if you choose not to, then this is what that is, right?
Correct.
And I think it gives the child a choice to be like, okay, I choose this. But if that wasn't set up front, and then now next thing you know they're out of college and now you're taking away the car, then I can see where the therapist is right. It's a means of control.
Okay.
So Aaron, what about that video I sent you today?
Was the same one that I sent, the contract, or that we were talking about?
Yeah. That's what But look, so and Stephanie, I can see what you're saying with that, because in my household, like I say, and I think Mark and Thomas will say the same thing. If we buy you something, and with our whole intentions of, hey, this is for you to get back and forth to college, this is for you to get back and forth to work, right? The moment you stop going to college and you say, "No, I ain't trying to do that no more. I don't want to do that anymore." I look at it like, hey, well, you're a full-fledged adult player. You need to be paying for your own vehicle then. So to me, it stops. That's how I look at it. But like you say, that's a rule up front. You know what I mean?
And remember I told you the same thing my mother told me, that if I went to college, I didn't have to pay rent.
Correct.
But if I didn't go to college, she said, you got to get a job and you're going to start paying bills around here.
Correct.
Yeah.
Mark took his black ass to fucking college. But at the end of the day, I think by the time late sophomore year, I was still paying rent.
With your mom's?
Yeah, I was still paying rent. Mom started to, I was doing the college life. I was partying and I was doing all that. But then my mom started to see that I was wilding. She said, yeah, he going to college, but this boy's still out the street. So she said, you're going to start to learn some responsibility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's fair. I think as parents, that you should have some type of expectations, right?
Is that something that we screwed up as parents?
What?
Because I knew that when my parents bought me a car, that there was expectations with that car. I mean, I didn't think I would have to explain it to my kids.
Times you didn't tell your children that?
No, I own the damn car. I pay the note. I pay the insurance.
You still didn't instill some sort of responsibility, even if they had a PlayStation or a cell phone, something, you still didn't instill responsibility with those things?
No, Coach Mark, guess what I just figured out? I was a permissive parent.
Oh.
Okay.
What does that mean?
I really don't know what it means because I totally forgot.
It's a Lifetime show now, y'all.
I know. I think permissive just means I said yes to everything.
Oh.
Yeah.
And that's the way I was. But now, when the shit hit the fan and my daughter's feelings were really, really hurt by the other child, I took the goddamn car back. And he could walk his Nikes to class. Plus I was being very disrespected with parking tickets. $2,000s of dollars every semester. Ooh. Because you feel so special that you can't park where you're allowed to park.
That's spoiled right there. That's spoiled.
I was getting ready to get on board with you because I was that parent that said, I don't want my kid to go to school and get clowned. So I made sure she had the right pair of shoes. She had the latest iPhone. I think I made that one mistake when the AirPods started coming out. I found this generic brand and it had the Nike label on it. Well, she was rocking them. She was like, I like these. They work and everything. And I'm thinking, they got Nike and she'd be cool. Yeah, she got clowned for these stupid AirPods. So I had to turn around and go get the regular AirPods. Yeah, she had the generic ones. I was balling on a budget. What you want me to do? I'm trying to pay for school, basketball, and trying to keep her, kind of fresh and clean. Yeah, bro. So I had to cut some corners. Yeah, that was a mistake. Who knew these little things hanging out your ear was a status quo? I mean, I remember we was rocking all the big jewelry and the big chains and all that. But dude, really, these earpieces is it's the new thing.
Man, we were rocking used jeans, Reebok classics.
Yeah.
Come on now.
The classic was hard, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
I had my little classics. Don't forget.
But see,
I was
Here
running
was
my
the
AIs, all that.
The downfall for me was this. When I put because I mean, this was every year of college, we were paying $1,000 on parking tickets. When I finally put the kibosh on, must have been sophomore year, and I said, I'm not paying them. Figure it out. My parents paid them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's entitled, man. That's entitlement on a whole nother level. He
But
knew.
hold on, I'm gonna tell you another story. The ATM card, right? My father opened my children's bank accounts when they were babies, and my child went in, got some money out for the Saturday. Apparently, he had spent all his money because he couldn't get any out. So he went to this other account that had a lot of money in it, and within one weekend had blown through $1,000 of my dad's money.
What'd your dad say?
Nothing. He was laughing at it. He thought it was funny. See, I had a lot of like obstacles I had to weave in and out.
You creating a monster right there. But hold on, y'all. We got Sassy on. Sassy, what's going on with you tonight? Thank you for joining the live. Sassy, you there? Hello?
Hello, Sassy.
Sassy.
Sassy?
I didn't know. I'm sorry. I didn't even know I was up here on the.
Oh, you didn't want to get up, Sassy? My bad.
She's chilling.
Just listening. Bye.
Bye.
How are you?
You good, Sassy. Don't worry about it then. I know. Look, she said chilling. She put it down. All right, my bad, Sassy. It had you come up on the trying to come up, so I'm gonna drop you back down. Don't worry about it.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, huh? But no, but Thomas, when you think about all that, man, that's entitlement. And I think a lot of us parents made the mistake with our children of just giving too much and spoiling them. And now we're dealing with, you're dealing with the other side, which is, a lot of us are still, a lot of parents are dealing with no contacts, and they're dealing with a transactional relationship with their children. Where
Aaron, you can be entitled and still have respect for your parents. I did. I was a spoiled brat. They are. And I'm going to tell you something. My daughter, who really lived in the shadow, she should be the one that never talked to me again. And Stephanie, I'm just going to go ahead and say this because you mentioned this already. Her and I about came to blows this evening over homeschooling.
Oh.
And maybe it's because I'm so old and I think that, I love her. I think that my granddaughter's just wickedly smart. I paid for school for the last 2 years. And I'm so deathly afraid that my daughter's just not going to put in the effort.
I get that. I'm gonna be real with you too, Stephanie.
That's valid.
I don't see nothing wrong with homeschool, but I make my living by having relationships with people. So I think, like for me, I talk to people 24/7, 365. So communication and having those relationships, I don't think anything's wrong with homeschool, but I just worry about that aspect because I learned how to make my living from school by having different relationships, knowing how to deal with different types of people and things of that nature. Have you thought about that with your son and what you're going to do about that aspect?
Well, the one thing right now, we are a part of a homeschool community here in Mexico.
Okay.
And they have different activities like weekly to where the children can come together.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one thing I love about being here is the homeschool community, because in Hawaii, they didn't have that. But I did have him in a charter school in Hawaii where it was a homeschool sector. So he was homeschooled, but he still had a teacher. He still had a classroom, and we reported to the teacher once a week. And he had opportunities to go to school, maybe twice a week. But I still was responsible for the homeschooling. And so now that I am here in Mexico, I'm starting to look, because I parent based on development. So I try not to be so dogmatic about my beliefs, because when I first thought about homeschooling, it was because I didn't want to put them in the system, and the schools were horrible, this, and that. Well, now that I had my child and I see who he is, I was afraid that he would be influenced. But the type of person he is, if anybody's going to be influenced, he's going to influence your kid. Like my child definitely is an independent thinker. So I was just like, well, I definitely don't want to shield my child from the world because I want him to be able to learn, and he's still with me so I can guide him. And so my views on homeschool is different, but I will say, and you are correct. Oh, Diamond isn't here, but Diamond, she made a great point. It's like what I've learned with homeschooling is that if you're not going to have your children in school, you have to do all the things. You have to do the socializing, the community, the education, like all the things that the school provides. As a parent, you have to do that. And most parents do not do that because it's a lot of work. And now that we are in Mexico, I've been thinking about putting him in school here because I want him to learn the language. Well, I can't speak Spanish. And so I've been thinking about that too. And I found another school here that I really like that is similar to how I teach him, but he can also be around children and learn Spanish. And so I've been thinking about school in that way. But yes, homeschooling is a lot of work, and I didn't realize how much work it is. And it's not even the education part. It is the social and the community part. And like I told you, when I took him home to my family, that's when I realized, like, oh, wow, he's not around enough adults. He's around children all day, but I realized, like, he doesn't have a variety of people that is in his life. And I don't know if that has anything to do with homeschool or our lifestyle.
Correct.
But I just didn't like that.
And I was just gonna say, my daughter during COVID, when my daughter had to do online learning, she didn't like that at all. She wanted to be in the classroom around her friends, and she wanted that interaction with the teacher. Now, the odd part is, being as though my daughter played basketball and we played in some places, it was, me, I was jealous. I was like, girl, you getting to play in this place here? But for her to go to a mall or just go to a Walmart, she's so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I couldn't understand that. I'm like, girl, you played basketball in an intense situation, and you're in a place where they're screaming, there's loud, there's whistles and everything going on. But I tell her to go into the store with me. She more faster than me. She wants to get in and get out.
Yeah.
She's uncomfortable.
My kids told me that, Coach, they said after COVID, it was a struggle for them to kind of like get back and socialize. I was like, man, what do you mean? It was like, man, we were doing homeschool, and, you just kind of isolated by yourself, and, you're in there in front of a laptop. And it was like, so after that, like getting back to the normal and getting back out, that they struggled a little bit with that. But
she struggled more sitting at home on her laptop, and she understood it. But if she had a question that she needed answered, it seemed like it was just like the teachers. She was bouncing off the teachers. Like, I'm not getting a direct answer to if I'm doing it right or if I'm doing it wrong. Yeah. But at the same token, she just wanted to have that interaction with her friends, to sit down with the teacher, look them in the eye and say, hey, am I doing this? Am I doing it wrong? But for her to just go to the mall, which was, I think it took a little time, and she kind of broke out of it as she got in high school. It was just, going to Walmart or just walking around the outlet mall. She's just like, oh, I just don't want to be around all these people.
And I think, like what Stephanie is saying, with her son being young, I think, I think as they mature, then things change. And like you said, then the parenting changes, right? So Stephanie might be like, you know what, you get a little old, you need to be around some old folks, blase, this, that, parenting change. So that's what we was talking about earlier.
Well, yeah. And I mean, for like, when she went around my family,
it was cool.
She was cool. She like, I could walk in the door and we would greet the first couple of people, and then I would turn around to say, hey, make sure you go speak to such and such. She gone.
Yeah. She was
gone. She with the cousins and all. She is gone. When she go with her mother, she gives them a 24-hour window, and then she done.
She's like, hey, I'm done.
I'm ready to leave this bitch. I can't be around here.
She's like, I'm out. But listen, y'all. Hey, I appreciate everybody coming on live tonight. I got to take my son to track practice. Thank you guys again,
Yes,
Stephanie.
sir.
Thank you so much, Coach. Thank you, Thomas.
Yes,
Thank you
sir.
guys. I appreciate it, man. Y'all enjoy the rest of y'all's day. Thank
All
you
right.
again, Stephanie. We're gonna do this again, Stephanie.